Greetings, class. This is ATM Burnett presenting SureSync Session 4 via YouTube. Basically, this week's topic is talking about the comparison of the effective versus ineffective security governance model presented by Wesley and Allen, comparing it to Hopkins' evaluation of effectiveness of a board. And basically, in this week's paper, I have taken information, gave them pretty much an introduction, which I'll cover comparing the two. And I also highlighted everything based upon Hopkins' 5 topics in table 2.5.3, and I will review those as well. Just going through, and I also kind of have my own personal conclusion of the two, along with my references as well. But I'm going to stop here on the conclusion page and kind of go back to the beginning. Basically, when you look at the effectiveness, evaluating the effectiveness of the board, those are very 5 key parts that I like to highlight: the membership and structure, purpose and intent, involvement, accountability, monitoring and reviewing performance and impact. Basically, from a governance model, though I think those outlines that he's given us and the detail in each of those subcategories of information really defines how the governance of every organization really works. When you make that comparison to the resource based in effectiveness and versus ineffectiveness security governance model, it's really a more detailed and granular look at how we view security and the kind of cause and effect of things that if we do this, this will be the effect or actually an effect of not doing it if we do not do it. We look at the membership structure, understanding that the board needs to have the knowledge and experience and skills. I do most of my comparisons when I do these based upon the power industry because that's my focus of work, but I also see it from an aspect of we are working with 2 different types of technology, 2 different types of networks. And at one point, I give an example. Power industry has been doing this for about 40 plus years. It's a pretty consistent model of how you generate power, and the networks have changed over years, but they don't change at the dynamics of every 18 months there's a new faster processor, there's a new computer. It doesn't work in that fashion. So when we compare the 2 models, the old governance model probably worked because we were not in the age of technology where we were at risk of cybersecurity threats or just risk in general because there are now more flaws in certain chips and devices that we make. So we're merging the two models together in order to come up with that type of structure from a membership or structure point of view where the person understands both sets of the technology to be productive. Prime example in effectiveness versus ineffective security governance model. One of the things they talked about, a board member must understand the information security criteria in the organization and demands to be updated quarterly on certain security performances. And then they give an example of if the board member does not understand their information security threat or responsibility, the focus solely upon on the corporate governance model. And they're more lobbed toward about kind of profit. So basically, the 2 models are not the same. And from a manager perspective, when you look at governance, if my company's been making money over time, I'm not looking for, we're looking at the risk that security risk may have, because in the comfort zone, like your target to have had security risk, I'm sure someone in the corporate boardroom says, well, we haven't had a problem, so why be proactive about something? In turn, we'll be reactive. We'll offer something in the back end for our customers, credit watching, things like that. But, that's a risk factor that they take from a reactive standpoint of view. The purpose and intent, basically, understanding that everyone on the board shares the same vision. If you would say in a typical governance model, everybody's when it can make money and make be profitable, so that the purpose is outlined the same. They may not see it from a cybersecurity aspect or security aspect. Involvement and accountability, taking accountability for things that you do, as far as the decision policies that you make. It doesn't move over into the effective versus effective security governance model, because those models are really focused upon, you have a CISO makes decisions, he makes, gives a template to the board, but basically does the board really understand the information that's been given to make a real sound based upon decision upon that. Um, we look at the monitoring and review as well. It kind of goes, each of these processes kind of build and they intertwine together. So they overlap in a way that the governance model it will be successful if the users or people on the board fall in line with the understanding of, prime example for monitoring, you have a subscription amount of monitoring, and that goes to your chain of command people, work of managers, directors, and then you have your doers and laborers. Is information flowing up and down, giving a very good picture of the governance model, or how the company works. From your security, we looked at a way of how, if your people are involved in security, I gave this example during my posting my response. If a person does get spam email, how many people are proactive teaching you, hey, do not click on that email if it comes from an external source? That's kind of how you get your personnel, your people involved in the work, or understanding how to prevent type of cyber events and things like that to that effect. Performance, and that goes to performance and your performance impact, satisfaction level, board members attending, and people kind of being committed to it as well. If we take the two models and merge them together, you're going to get a more security structure, infrastructure in place, but also you can maintain a very strong governance. Understanding the two together, you will ideally be more productive and be more successful from a security aspect. That is all. Have a great day. Thank you very much.